In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live. And we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. It's a pretty cool show. We start off on Instagram, so go follow me there at Livin' Low Carb Man. That's LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live in the content, just like all these people are doing right now coming in. And if you miss it live, you can actually watch the replay for up to 24 hours on Instagram. So go follow me there. But after 24 hours, that information is gone from Instagram. You have to go check it out on YouTube. So go type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search on YouTube. And guys, my YouTube has exploded with people watching Jimmy Rants now. So thank you if you're watching this on YouTube. And then finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast, which has the best of the best moments of this here show, JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is all about people finding their niche when it comes to keto. So there's a lot of people that come into the ketogenic community and they connect with various factions of keto. So one faction of keto, we'll just start naming them off, is those people who engage in kind of a dirty, lazy keto. So that's the community that they feel comfortable with. That's the people that they feel like are their tribe. And so they engage in that. They hang out together. They have Facebook pages and all that kind of stuff. So that's one. So then there's another tribe that is in a subset of keto, and that's the people that like to do it with a higher protein content. So they say, oh, you need to eat a minimum of 30% of your calories coming from protein, and that's the way to do keto, and they have their groups. Then you've got people that talk about fasting and incorporating that within the context of being keto. And you also have the people who talk about doing a low carb, more moderate protein, higher fat style diet. There's just so many different tribes, so to speak, when it comes to keto. And one of the challenges that happens when you've got something as niche as keto, yes, it's mainstream now. People are talking about it out there in the popular culture. Thank you, Jillian Michaels. She's making us famous. They're talking about it in a very big way, but it's still a very small tribe when you stop and think about it, when you stop and think of it as the totality of what it is. So because of that, when you start having various tribes come up, it becomes a problem. And I'm seeing this more and more and more. So what I want to talk about here today is engaging in this keto tribalism, I think, will devastatingly splinter the movement. So right now we've got a lot of great momentum going with keto as a popular thing in nutritional health. And can I tell you, as somebody that started at this in 2005, blogging, and then started podcasting in 2006, if you'd have asked me then, or told me then, that in 2018-19, we would be seeing more unbelievable popularity within the mainstream of a low-carb, high-fat, ketogenic diet than ever before, I would not have believed you, because it's just happened so quick. But how quickly it has risen, it could quickly fall. And that's my concern, you guys, because I'm seeing it happen more and more. I'll give you an example of this. So yesterday there was this post on Instagram where the person had posted about a higher protein-styled ketogenic diet, and so they posted that out there, and they mentioned that if you're going to eat keto, that you need to eat a low-fat, low-carb diet, and that make the preponderance of your diet protein. Well, I posted, well, that's not exactly correct. You do need some fats in there, and I explained a little bit. Well, that opened the bucket. That just opened Pandora's box, and I had so many people coming after me, some very ugly in a personal way towards me. And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, that you become so tribal to your particular version of keto that all other versions of keto are invalid. Now, you guys know I am a proponent of a low-carb, moderate-protein, high-fat ketogenic diet. Why? Because that is the definition of what a ketogenic diet is. And so if somebody sees benefit from eating more protein in their diet, and they're getting good health markers and losing weight and doing all the things that you get from going keto, I'm not going to tell them they're doing it wrong. That would be haughty. I don't do that. If somebody, and several people, when I did a video about the Dirty Lazy Keto a few weeks back, somebody said, well, I've done very well doing that. Great. I think we should all cheer each other on to success of what's working for us. But what's happening is people get so invested in the version of keto that helped them that everybody else's version of keto is wrong. And so I know you see this out there on social media. I see it on a daily basis, you guys, where people will post things that say, well, you're doing keto wrong. I've seen it. I'm currently doing a carnivore experiment, and I'm seeing people even saying that I'm doing this carnivore wrong. Never mind, I've lost 18 pounds. Never mind, I'm intermittent fasting, which, by the way, I'm in like 23 hours of fasting now, almost. Never mind, I'm seeing great success doing it. And I guess that's the conclusion I want to come to here, is we've got to rally around each other's success. Okay, you did it differently than me, but that stands to reason. We're all bio-individual. You hear me talk about that term quite a bit. The bio-individuality of it all means that different strokes for different folks. We're not all going to do the exact same diet and lifestyle changes and get the exact same results. And that's okay. I think we need to be all right with that. This is what happened with the paleo world, was they became very tribal. My version of paleo is the right way. No, my version of paleo is the right way. And they started butting heads, and that's when it started to splinter. And the exact same thing could happen to keto if we're not careful. Now, again, I've been around for a very long time in this community, and I'm trying to help people understand some of these issues that I've noticed happening before in all the years that I've been doing this. And it's starting to be disheartening, you guys. Are you noticing this? Are you noticing that people kind of fall into camps when it comes to the style of keto that they're doing, and that people are like, it's my way or the highway version of keto, and if you're not doing my version, you're not doing it right? Can we stop that? Can we not put ourselves into camps and tribes? Because engaging in keto tribalism will devastatingly splinter this movement. We don't need to say, okay, my version of keto is far superior to yours, therefore your version is wrong, if that person is getting good effects on their weight and health. Why would we discourage people seeing results? I see my friend Mike Muscle just popped on here. Mike will be the first to tell you that his version of a ketogenic diet might be different than what a lot of people do in their ketogenic diet. And guys, we got to be okay with that. We've got to embrace the differences and embrace the bio-individuality of it all. Because the moment we forget we're not all lemmings, the moment we forget that we all come at this from different places metabolically, is the moment that we as a movement no longer grow, no longer help people. Because here's what happens when you do that. When you start saying, well, my version of keto is right, no, your version is wrong, people come into the community and go, well, dang, they can't even figure out what's right. And so that's the fear. That's the big fear, that people will come into this community and they'll say, well, they haven't even figured it out yet. So if they haven't figured it out, how in the world am I going to be able to figure out how to do keto that makes it work best for me? Okay. So the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants, let's stop with the keto tribalism. Yes, you found the version of keto that works for you. Congratulations, embrace it, be happy with your success, and enjoy all of the benefits that come from your version of keto. But don't be so haughty and arrogant as to say that because you saw success with one way to do it, that nobody else could possibly see success doing it any other way than the way you did it. We've got to end that, because that's not cool. Okay? All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. Let me scroll back to the top. Thanks for being here, you guys. Appreciate your support of Jimmy Rants. All righty. Wow, lots of people here. Randy says, yes, our only competition is ourselves right now. We need to support each other better instead of always being against. Randy, it's disheartening, isn't it? It's disheartening when you know we're all on the same side and we're all trying to help people get healthier. And I think most of us that are in this community are doing it with truly a heart for helping people find the truth. And so we all agree on carbohydrate restriction. That's the basis of a ketogenic diet. And then there's nuances with the other macronutrients and style of food and all that jazz. But at the end of the day, we all rally around carbohydrate restriction being a benefit to people's health. So why don't we rally around what we do agree on and lay aside the pettiness? And I'm saying that word by design. It's petty, some of the ugliness. And it goes ugly real fast. I mean, you just go on certain forums and you talk about eating more fat for satiety and eating more fat to go long periods of time without eating and engaging in fasting. You open a can of worms on some groups. So it's sad. It's sad that it's come to that. I've been guilty of that as well. There are guidelines of what is right and wrong. Am I right? Well, yes, because the traditional ketogenic diet has always been defined as one that is low in carbs, moderate in protein, and high in fat. That's the diet. Now, people do various nuances of that. And the tricky part here is what is moderate in protein for one person may be way too much for another person. So it goes back to that bio-individuality. I tend to do better with less protein than maybe other people, but that's not to say that if someone's doing well with a higher protein intake on their keto approach, that they're necessarily wrong. I think the results that you get in your blood health and in the how you feel and ability to fast and all the things that we talk about here, that is all a sign that that version of keto that you're doing is right for you. So right now I'm doing a keto carnivore where I'm eating only meat and animal-based foods, and I'm thriving doing this. So if someone chooses to do more of what my Keto Talk co-host Dr. Will Cole does, Ketotarian, where it's mostly a plant-based type of keto, does that mean they think my version is wrong or I think their version is wrong? No. We're all on the same journey to try to get better and better in our health. Nancy, Virginia Beach, I'm really seeing this in keto Facebook groups. People are becoming very judgmental. Keto is such a personal journey that we need to stay open-minded. And I can appreciate that people, if they see something that isn't quite on message, wanting to share concerns about that. Like, for example, sometimes I'll see people post, well, I had 5 Quest bars today and I'm keto. And so maybe somebody will say, well, you know, those are really, you know, full of carbohydrates. So make sure you're testing your blood sugar and you're kind of tracking how that's going for you, because that may not be ideal if you're trying to be keto. So that's the right way to do it. Here's the wrong way to do it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you would eat Quest bars. You're not keto. That is the worst thing you can possibly do. You're horrible. Just get out of here. You're not really keto. You know, you see it. You know, they do that crap. I see it every single day out there. and Facebook is notoriously bad about that. Nicholas Thompson, I literally just had a discussion about this with my Orange Theory fitness coach. We both agree the keto blueprint is great, and each person will differ regarding fat and protein consumption. Again, we rally around, Nicholas, the message of carbohydrate restriction, and then what you do with fat and protein is going to vary from person to person. It's going to vary from exercise that you do. It's going to vary from level of insulin resistance. All of those things come into play when you start talking about this. Sometimes different things work for different people. Exactly, Mike. And I wouldn't even say sometimes. I'd say all the time. Different things work for different people. My version of keto that's working best for me may make someone else not feel well at all. And vice versa. Somebody else could have sweet potatoes in their version of keto and still be fat burning, by the way. We hate those people. Just kidding. But that works for them and they're getting benefit from it. So if we get too caught up in our own tribalism about what we do as keto, and we forget that there's other people that can do things in another way with their keto and see just as much success, if we don't recognize that there is differences there and that it's okay that we have differences all under the umbrella of keto, then we will be splintered and the movement will be stopped. And about a year from now, we're going to be talking about what in the world just happened. I'm not going to stand by and let that happen without informing people, which is what we're doing in this Jimmy Rants here today. Dana's Hope says, I find it confusing 5 months in and so much different info. I've learned, however, to be open to new ideas to try as I stall. And thank you for that, Dana's, because that's the other thing that's at play here. You got so many people saying different things about keto. Here's the thing, guys. If you hear something and you're like, I wonder if that's good, try it. Try it and see how you do. That's the beautiful thing about this. There is no hard and fast rules that say you can't ever try something. If you think a sweet potato is not bothering you, go get you a blood glucose monitor, get you a blood ketone monitor, enjoy the sweet potato, test it, and see how you do. I know from my past N=1 experiments that I can't do that. That would be detrimental to my goals of fat loss and health gains. Just wouldn't work for me. But does that mean it's wrong across the board for everybody that would do it? No. Obviously, there's people that would do well and thrive doing it that way. Keto Neogenesis Beth says, only a handful of keto groups that I belong to. Keto for Life is the most encouraging. Yeah, I like Keto for Life. Go follow that one. Dr. Berry's is good. Living La Vida Low Carb, Keto Genesis, and Keto Matrix are all on my list. First and foremost, there can be no demeaning. Yeah, I just don't understand why there has to be this character assassination when people have a disagreement. Used to, when you disagreed with someone and you shared an alternative view, all people did was say, well, that's interesting. Thanks for sharing that view. Now here's an alternative view to that view. And you had the discussion, and then people could make up their minds about what they believed or if they had a new theory. But nobody brought in personal attacks prior to like the last 5-10 years, when social media has just totally ruined the way we talk to each other. It's crazy. When you find your tribe, it's all for support, but we are all on the same team, Team Health. Yes, Jesse, Team Keto Health. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we're about? I'll even take this one step further beyond keto. I think if you're in the game trying to do something with your health, whether you're choosing paleo, vegan, low carb but not keto, Mediterranean, whatever your chosen diet is, if you're in the game trying to get healthy and you're making pursuits in that realm, why aren't we all on the same team? Why aren't we encouraging and uplifting? And I'm going to put out a challenge to you guys. You're watching this right now, wherever you're watching this, Instagram, YouTube, wherever. Maybe you're listening on the Jimmy Rants podcast. I want to put out a call to you to be kind, encouraging, uplifting, reinforcing the good that is happening for people on their health journey. There's a whole lot of people trying to discourage others on their journey. I want to buck that trend. Let's be the instigator of change in a positive manner so that people actually will pursue things that will make them healthier. Is that unreasonable? Is that unreasonable that we choose to be encouragers over judgmental people? Because, guys, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but everybody and their mama's very quick to judge. And so part of this tribalism is judgment and being the judge, jury, and executioner, so to speak, of all things as it relates to your diet and health. Let's change that. Let's change the culture. We don't have to put up with that anymore. We can be those agents of change. Nancy says, I cringe every time I read a question on what will break an intermittent fast. The tribes go to war. Yeah, that they do. Ballistic Skunk Works, it's money or pushing their idea. Everybody thinks they're the smartest ones. I personally have rotating of my keto diets. And see, that's another thing. Some people cycle in a little bit higher protein, and then they cycle in a little bit higher fat. And so when you ask them which version of keto they like, it's like both. They want to do both of them because it does give them benefit to do that. Livin' Liz and Healthy says, also disheartening when you see health professionals and scientists that are butting heads, blocking one another on Twitter when we are all on the same team. We're trying to get people off the SAD diet. Yeah. And that's happening more and more too. Yeah, it's sad. I applaud everyone's style, says Keto Quest KC. I always hashtag my Instagram posts my keto journey. Sean Miner talks a lot about individual success and what works for one may not work for another. Yeah, I love Sean. Sean is a sweetheart. Susan Rapp, yes, you should customize keto to fit your lifestyle. I test my glucose and ketones every day. I can eat about 35 to 40 grams of net carbs and still be in ketosis. You don't have to be at 20 total carbs. And thank you for that one. Another tribalism is net carb versus total carb. And while we can have our opinions about what we think works best for the individual, at the end of the day, present the information and why you believe what you believe, but then don't take it to that next level of ostracizing people because they believe in another way than you do. Jackie B163, I've left several keto groups because of their holier-than-thou attitude. And sadly, it ends up coming down to just a minor few people who start having that kind of thing. I noticed this happen when I used to run a forum. I had a Live in La Vida low carb forum way back in the day before social media. And I had to shut it down because of the tribalism that was happening there. There was a big group of zero carb people that if you didn't eat zero carb, they ostracized you. And they turned, they basically made you feel like you were stupid for not eating zero carb. And it was one of the reasons why I never tried carnivore before this year, is the ugliness that was the messenger of that message of zero carb. I didn't want anything to do with that. And so it actually can destroy really any movement. And as we're talking about here today, the keto movement is at a really good place right now in our culture. Why would we want to splinter it by becoming so tribal about our version of keto? Keto Chrissy Sue, one of the best parts of keto is learning to listen to your body and accepting there is not a one-size-fits-all for everyone. It's sad, SAD diet made me feel like such a failure. Yeah. Oh, it's sad that it made me feel like such a failure. Exactly. I hate that. I hate that somebody comes in and the first thing that they notice in the keto world is you're not doing it the right way, even though you're seeing great success. So with this carnivore thing that I'm doing, a keto carnivore, I was purposely trying to show how you do it in the real world. And so I'm eating a lot of hamburger and sausage and that kind of thing. And the first thing I started getting was, well, you're not doing it the right way. You can't put dairy in there. That's not carnivore. Or you're not eating the highest quality meats, and so that's not carnivore. And it's like, you know, you see this stuff pop up and you go, really? Really? That's where we're going to go? Never mind, I've lost 18 pounds in 14 days. Never mind, I feel good. Never mind, I've got lots of energy. Never mind, I can intermittent fast spontaneously for long periods of time. And yet people were so tribal about their version of whatever it is you're talking about that you're wrong. And that's got to stop. That's wrong. Even when you make lazy keto choices, they're still usually better than the choices most of us were making before keto. No doubt, Chrissy Sue. A dirty, lazy keto is better than the best version of the sad diet you've ever eaten. All day, every day. I don't judge, but I do try to kindly point out truths, especially for the sake of newbies. I tell people that there aren't keto rules, but more like suggestions. Knowledge is power, and I want to share. And that's the right way to do it. Giving information that's an alternative viewpoint to what people are sharing is not hate. I try to remind people of this, that I'm okay if you disagree with something I share. What I'm not okay with is when you become disagreeable with your alternative opinion. So you share your opinion, but then you have to throw in a, well, look at Jimmy Moore. You don't look like your version of keto is doing very well. Why do you have to do that? You don't have to do that kind of crap. All you have to do is say, this is my viewpoint. But people like to get personal, and they like to throw that kind of stuff in there for whatever the reasons. Kindness always matters. When I get heated, I try to think how I would want someone to talk to my grandma. Have patience and be kind. That's a good way to do it. How would I talk to grandma? How would I want people to talk to my grandma? All right, that's now I need to talk to them. So, sweetheart, come here. Come here. Here, you need to give me some sugar. Give me some sugar, sugar. Maybe not like that, but... My brother has great results going back and forth from a mostly gluten-free, low-carb to keto. Awesome. Urine ketone strips are also part of the tribalism. Yes, that's another one. Thank you, Alberto, for bringing that up. Urine testing versus blood testing versus breath testing. They're all very interesting things to look at. And I think if people understood the urine ketone strips and why maybe they disappear for some people, again, it's about sharing the information, not judging people on what they're choosing to do on their keto lifestyle. Dairy is an animal product, so why isn't it carnivore? Did they say why or just scream no? They just scream no, Chrissy Ann. Yeah, and I even made the caveat at the beginning of this challenge where I'm doing meat and animal-based foods. And I ran it by the Mr. Carnivore Diet himself, Dr. Sean Baker, and he's like, oh yeah, that's carnivore. I try to zone in on a professional level, like I'm a doctor telling a patient something or a school teacher, Bonnie Lene. Yeah, if you're methodical about sharing and you just stick with the facts of what you're sharing rather than making it any kind of personal judgment, I think that's a good way to do it. Part of the challenge here, and I was just talking with my wife, Christine, about this, that when you read a post on social media, your brain can't determine tone. Your brain can't hear how it's being shared. All you see is words on a screen. And so your brain will go to whatever the first thing it thinks. So, and I run into this myself sometimes because I get so much hatred on a daily basis at various places that when I read something, I kind of have my meter on of, okay, is this a hater? Is this somebody just engaging? And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to decipher who's a hater and who's actually legitimately trying to have a discussion. So I even find myself running into that. So it's very difficult when you can't hear the person talking and you're just merely reading the words on the screen. It's funny when they say you need your green on keto and try to sell you a green supplement for $50. A-Rod 2773. I know exactly who you're talking about, and that guy is whacked. You know, it's amazing to me how some people kind of get a foothold in this community that before the last year or so, you'd never heard of these people before, and now they're in it. So that's the other thing that comes into this is people say, well, Dr. Mr. XYZ, I did their program and it was the best thing. And okay, good job. Keep it up. Way to go. Keep it going. Congratulations on your health markers. But what happens when that person disappears from the scene because they made their money off of you, selling you a greens drink or whatever? Yeah, that's a whole nother issue we could talk about another day. Thank you for being so kind. You set an example, a brave one. You knew you'd get heat, but you're like, come at me, bro. I have some fun with it sometimes. Same with text messages, says Bishop. Yeah, I always tell people when things go where I don't understand something in a text, I usually say, call me. Let's talk, because it's so much easier. Real Food with Jess says, this is why you should treat people with kindness up front, regardless of the tone, instead of telling people they're moody and need to go eat more fat. Okay. I don't understand why it's okay to say those things in the adage if I can't tell if they're haters or not. All right. Great. Thanks, Jess. All right, guys. So the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants is engaging in keto tribalism is what's going to devastatingly splinter this movement. We got enough people out there that are saying negative things and are relentless about it. And people don't need that. How do you handle them, says Chrissy Sue. I think the way you handle people that are that way is you're just incredibly kind. Congratulations. I'm very happy that you found what works for you. I found what works for me, and it's XYZ. So you're sharing the information. And at the end of the day, if you're the one that comes across as reasonable and the other person comes across as unreasonable, maybe you convince somebody to try your version instead. Sometimes I just tell people, really, guys, do we have to be mean? Chrissy, that doesn't help. At the end of the day, they're going to be that way. Sometimes people are just rabble-rousers, so you've got to know that going into it. The best thing that you can do is just be incredibly supportive and congratulatory towards those people of what they've been able to accomplish in their keto, and then politely restate your version and how it's helped you. I think that's the way you respond. Now, if they come back at you hard, again, they're the ones that's going to look like the turd balls while you look like the reasonable one. You've said it time and time again, and I agree as well as some of the other listeners. Add value to everyone with whom you interact. Don't judge. Let others find their own way, and just add value. Yes, Russ. Yes. And I will always promote that as a central message of what I am all about. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. As always, go to jimmyrants.com. It's the most unique show on the internet because we start off on Instagram and do a live video a couple of times a day. Go follow me there at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live in the content just like all these people here have done today. Thank you guys for the engagement. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours, but after 24 hours, it does disappear from Instagram, but we throw them all over onto YouTube. So go find the vast array of YouTube videos. Just type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search, and I've noticed a huge jump since I did that Jillian Michaels video, which, as of the recording of this, is well over 11,000 views now. So it went viral. And so, yeah, so go follow me there on YouTube and find those past episodes. And then finally, we have a best of the best Jimmy Rants podcast that's available on Apple Podcasts. It's coming soon to all the other formats. So stay tuned, you guys. We're going to share when it's available everywhere else. But all of this and all the links of what we just talked about are at jimmyrants.com. So until next time, we'll see you then.